Hello, everybody. Welcome to the class of not getting enough done and bound to fail and feeling judged. The work on the work. And my name is Steph Skupin, and this is the fifth of a series of free community classes, and the last in this particular series. Before we get jumping in, I also want to let you know that I'm going to start on a new topic after this, and I'm very excited about this topic. It's about the how to the nitty-gritty work of unconditional loving, and that the topic's inspired by the question. Sure, like we've all experienced unconditional love, but how do you actually practice it? How do you actually manage to use unconditional love, to feel it in difficult situations and to use it in everyday life, as a form of activism, as a form of a force for change. So yeah, I'm very excited about bringing that class, but now we're coming back to the work on work. And what we're looking at today is the thoughts around not feeling good enough and feeling bound to fail and feeling judged at work. And this particular class, is inspired by someone's suggestion for a topic. And this person shared that they are struggling to not equate self-worth with productivity. And also, they felt that they were bound to fail in their endeavors due to an unstable economy. And both of these topics run deep, and they're also connected. So there's a lot to say on both of them, but I will be keeping this short. It's going to be just a short introduction, and then we're going to actually look into practicing the work. So I bet everyone here can relate at a time when you felt that your self-worth was defined by by how productive you were on any given day, any given hour. Obviously, that's not surprising at all, then, since our society is built on the ethic of hard work. You can look historically, you can look back onto, who created that ethic, and that was always very helpful for the ruling classes if everyone's working hard. And in order to show that you are worthy in such a society, you have to put in so many hours and show so many results, right? And that's not to say that there's anything wrong with keeping busy. There's absolutely nothing wrong with being busy, or even with working hard consistently, because it can be a source of immense satisfaction and deep well-being, and it can really help to improve the world that you live in, as long as we don't overdo it. Because that's where the struggle comes in, isn't it? And so let's look at, what does it mean to overdo it, right? Let's go there by the results of overdoing. When you feel consistently tired, when you get sick a lot, when you feel resentful, when there are tasks allotted to you, by yourself or someone else, or you feel you can't cope, it's all too much, or you feel short-tempered at work or after work, those are all signs that you're overdoing it. Obviously, the actual amount of that work varies greatly depending on who you are and the time of day and the time of the week and the time of the month and the year of your life. So why do we run into this overdoing? Why do we overdo? At the very basic of it, like lots and lots of reasons, lots and lots of different reasons that are all very similar to all of us, but the very basic level of it is fear of survival. It's that, I'm sure you've heard, the amygdala hijacking, like our instinctual brain, our animal brain, And it's that fear that we are judged as unworthy, then we will be cast out and die. That's the fear that's sitting at the basis of all of that. In evolutionary terms, we have evolved really fast. And so this fear is still there. And this fear is the root of perfectionism, is the root of people-pleasing behaviors, is the root of tolerating abuse and toxic work environments, of poor boundaries. And at its worst, it's the root of depression and hopelessness. Most of us, of course, we can see that the fear is irrational. But nevertheless, it does tend to take us over. And so the way to lessen those instinctual responses against this fear is to focus in on specific situations when it raises its head and inquire into the validity of our thinking in that moment. So we inquire into, you focus in. It's not this general, oh no, this fear doesn't, it's irrational, therefore I will just drop it. Yeah, right? That works. So you focus in very specifically, this is when it came up. This is what I was thinking. And let's have a look at that. Is that even true? So that's what we will do here. The process of this work, the process that I'm sharing, has the ability to set you free from behaviors that are designed to please and appease others at the expense of your own well-being and balance. It does have that power. However, the process takes time and it takes many applications. Rather like meditation, it is a way of training the mind. So training isn't like I've done it once and now I should be better. Doesn't work. Too good to be true. It's a way of training the mind. And each time we do this work, it is one piece of the puzzle. It is work, the work. It is the essential work of our life. Every single client I've worked with over the last 5-6 years has come up with that thought that I guess I'm just not feeling good enough, including myself. That's the single most pervasive thought in human consciousness. It's at the root of all doubt, and it will keep coming up. If you don't have it, then you're either enlightened or you're suppressing it really well. Feeling bound to fail because of circumstance or because of people is part of the insecurity of the human egoic mind. And that thought keeps coming up because there is always truth in it. Circumstances and people will interfere with your design for peace and happiness. Right? They do all the time. What the work teaches us by inquiry and awareness is that life has ups and downs, happens, but failure is a human concept that is born in fear. So you will not get the things that you want. It will happen, but it is not failure. And so as we inquire into the situations, we find that fear is often not needed. And our attachment to it, the willingness to believe in the reality and the validity of the fear, that gets less and less. So what we're going to do is the work on the thought that I'm not good enough, or your variation of that thought. And your variation of that thought that they think you're not good enough. Did I say that? So the thought is they think I'm not good enough. So potentially somebody's going to jump up in your mind right this moment, going like, oh yeah, that's what I thought of them, or that's what they're thinking of me. And so that might be parents, grown children, spouses, friends, colleagues, bosses, teachers, you name it. And so for a lot of my clients, the initial response to this prompt is, but I judge myself most harshly. It's me who judges myself. And again, this is something that is true for most of us. And it is a layer of self-awareness. We're no longer just looking outside, we're looking inside as well. And so there is a layer that we've already uncovered of self-awareness. There is an inner judgment that's going on, right? However, your judgment of yourself is rooted in the perceived judgment of others. They are intertwined. They don't stand alone. And the work of the process, the work of Byron Katie, works best and is best learned when we project our judgments outward. So, for the purpose of learning the process and for the purpose of today's workshop, consider who you talk to in your mind to justify or defend a decision that you made at work that you're a little worried about. Who is it that shadowy presence that you're explaining to? Or who do you think will enact consequences? This might be your the veterinary association, your professional body. It might be the boss and corporate rules. It might be your grandmother. Who is that person who's saying that should have been better? You can also go to your past. Who in your past has judged you? And that might be going back to school or childhood in your memory. That's where the work is most helpful. So the work is a very simple process, and if you've watched the classes until now, you're a little bit familiar with it already, but for everybody who's here the first time today, it's a process of 4 questions applied to a very specific thought. So we start with finding a situation that is stressful, where, like for today, where the thought is, they think I'm not good enough. So you might also say, oh, I think this all the time. That's fine. Just pick one moment. This might be using a situation as an example that is in my new book, also in the upcoming book of Zen for VetMed. This is a doctor who feels judged on her work by a colleague. And so she walks past a room and she hears a comment about herself. So she thinks, I'm not good enough. This is your situation. And you can potentially also call it different, like she thinks I made a mistake. They think I should have stayed longer. I'm going to lose they're going to take my job away. They're going to fire me. Things like that could mean the same if that's what's coming up for you. And then we use that situation, we stay in our mind in that situation, and we ask 4 questions. Is it true? Question 2, can I absolutely know this is true? Question 3, how do I react? What happens when I believe this thought? And in that moment, we explore the situation. And all our deeper thoughts and our feelings, our emotions, and our body sensations get their moment of speaking up and showing us what this thing does in our lives, this thought of they think I'm not good enough. And then the fourth question, who would I be without this thought? Who would I be in that same situation? The situation does not change at all. Who would I be in that same situation without the thought? And generally, my clients, anybody who does this work feels in that question, there is a lightening, a letting go of old fear. All right, so let's just jump in. I hope you have found a situation for yourself. And so I'll go with the example of that situation that I mentioned earlier, the doctor walking past a door and the other doctor making a comment about her to a technician. So she thinks I'm not good enough. In that moment, is it true? And the answer to that question is yes or no. Is it true? Yes or no? And in the situation that I was describing, the comment was quite explicit. So the answer is yes. She thinks I'm not good enough. Yes. What is your answer? And the second question is, can you absolutely know if this is true? So now if you answered no in the first question, you would just go to question 3. But for everybody who answered yes in the first question, can you absolutely know that this is true? This question does not ask you to change your mind at all. There is no wrong or right answer here. The question is, what is your honest truth in this? Can you absolutely know that this is true? And then question 3, how do you react? What happens when you believe that thought? And what happened for this doctor who walked past this doorway was she felt like hit in the solar plexus. She found it hard to breathe with that comment. It was devastating. And then she got angry. She could feel her body tense. She could feel her face fall. And she got really angry with that colleague. And she was still angry when she did the work on this with me some years later, on how this person could be so unprofessional to make such a comment like this to a technician. How this person was polluting this work atmosphere, influencing everybody else with this kind of gossip and slander, really. She felt she wanted to defend herself. And she remembered other situations in her life when things like that had happened and her worth had been judged like that. She came up with all the reasons why that comment was wrong, not truthful. She felt heavy having to go against this kind of thinking. Bound to fail. Now everybody's going to believe this about me. It's an impossible situation. It's hopeless. How do you react? What happens when you believe that thought? How does your body feel? What emotions come up? What other thoughts? What is your facial expression? What is your body language? If you say anything, what is your tone of voice? Do you look at that other person or do you look away? Do you look down maybe? Does it hit you like a knife, like a punch? How do you react? What happens? And also notice in that situation, what is it that you want from them? You want them to respect you. You want them to listen to you. What is it that you want from them? Recognition, support, some sign that you're worthy. And how do you treat them? This person who thinks that you are not good enough, who's judging you. How do you treat them? And in my sessions with my clients, we go very deep into this question because this is where self-awareness lies. This is where we see ourselves, the mirror of ourselves. And by seeing, we can begin to make changes. It's not about telling ourselves that we've done it wrong. This is just normal human behavior. It's just really about understanding, oh, that's how it looks. This is what it is like. And then question number 4 is, who would you be without this thought? And this question is a deep question. It's a beautiful question. It allows you to sink into meditation, to really be present, aware in that moment with the person in front of you, with yourself, with the situation. Who would you be without that thought, without having your judgment clouded by preconceptions? Who would you be without that thought? So walking past that doorway, who would my client be without the thought that her colleague judges her for not good enough as she hears an opinion? She also sees the technician looking away and down, understanding that the technician is uncomfortable with hearing that opinion, might not actually agree with it. She sees that colleague as someone who's stressed, feels often overwhelmed. That's a place from which to see this kind of talk, this kind of judgment coming up. It has little to do with her, but all to do with where it comes from, the colleague. And of course, we can know these things, but until we have looked at them focused through inquiry, they don't actually sink in. Once we've done it, they sink in and they have the power to change situations because our responses are so different because the fear is gone. Who would you be without the thought in that moment? And what my client came up with was compassion, empathy. And a way to not just ignore, but go back later potentially to that person and say, I hear that, and can we talk? Or what can I do? How can I help? Very, very powerful way of um, interacting, of responding. When we're done with who would you be without the thought, we turn the thought around to an opposite and we find examples of how that opposite can be just as true. And the power in doing this is that we give our mind actual proof, clear proof. The way attachment to something happens is that we believe that it is so. When we give proof to the opposite, it's not that now the opposite is true, is that our mind opens and begins to see that truth has many facets. Truth is complex. In human interaction, there is always more than one truth. And we stop having to defend ours at all cost. So the turnaround would be they don't think I'm not good enough. They don't think I'm not good enough, or they think I am good enough. So they don't think I'm not good enough. How can it be true? And maybe it's just a small thing. So in this moment, in this example that I was sharing, it ended up just being a small thing. This other colleague did not go to the boss or the authority on this complaint that she had. It was just a major irritation, a minor irritation that she was giving voice to. And then also in other times, this doctor found other times when this colleague actually had asked her advice. This colleague had made comments that showed her that she was good enough, that she was a respected doctor. And then, so find examples for yourself. And if you want to, pause this video or come back to this later if you don't have the time right now, then I invite you to do that. And obviously, if you want help with this process, by all means, get in contact with me. My contact details are on my various web pages, and you can book sessions. The second turnaround would be to the other. I think they're not good enough. And that often is the easiest turnaround to see. Because as we defend ourselves in our mind, we quickly see that we judge the other people just as harshly as we think they judge us. Yes, I think they're not good enough. And then I think I'm not good enough. That's the last turnaround, the turnaround to the self. And that is where the hit comes from. It's not that other person actually hitting us, but us going, oh, yes, I have thought this too. There is a part of me that believes it. There's a part of me that is scared that it is true. And this is how I think I'm not good enough. It is at its heart a very simple process, this work. And in its simplicity lies its power. It is my most favorite process on the planet. And it is a form of meditation as well. So for anyone who would like to try the process with me, please don't hesitate to get in touch and we can schedule something. All right, and let me just do remind you one more time of the upcoming topic, which will be the nitty-gritty work of unconditional love. And I think it's a very, very good topic in this world we live in right now, where there's a lot of criticism and a lot of war and violence and a lot of adversity, a lot of judgment, a lot of working against each other. I think it is a very powerful topic to practice. Right. As usual, thank you for joining and thank you for coming in. And feel free to leave a comment under the video or on my social media pages on what you thought of this video and of this short workshop.